How's it going, guys? Today we're going to actually upgrade the suspension on the RSF Razor. So if you guys want to see the front and rear suspension upgrades, go ahead and check this out. If you only want to see the front or the rear, we should have those split up down in the timeline, so go ahead and skip to where you want. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Now, if you guys are curious what systems are already in this bike for upgrades, we have a video kind of going through the top speed on this bike as well as all the parts that we have on it so far. This is what I'm calling the stock look. And before we do these upgrades, we're going to kind of get a few shots of this bike. I think the RSF looks amazing stock. Unfortunately, I'm 6'3", and I'm just a little too big to be running it without these upgrades. So we're going to mainly look at the front suspension being upgraded as well as the rear suspension. Alright guys, so we love Ride or Die, so we went ahead and ordered the Ride or Die forks. We do have a 10% discount code to that, and go ahead and check that out in our link tree as well. So thank you Ride or Die for that. We always appreciate you. So let's jump into looking at quickly opening these up and then installing these forks. Now basically these forks you're going to pick out for the RSF. So that is going to be due to the front rim and tire setup is a little bit different than the MX SX styles. So choose accordingly. I think that if you are doing an MX or SX and you want to have an RSF wheel setup on here, you can pick this RSF Ride or Die setup, and then it will be bolt on to this wheel with basically all of the bikes. So 500 and 650 size model, of course. Okay guys, so this is a nice Amazon shock that was around 60 bucks that we got, and it's really close to fitting. Unfortunately for me, the bolt's just not quite lining up. As well as down here, my shock's kind of hitting on the KR5V just because it has those fins. Now, I might grind that off. It's not a big deal. This looks like amazing. I really like the looks of it in there, matching the white, obviously. Little thing on the back looks cool or whatever. But now, if you weren't running the KR5V or the DetFab chain delete bracket, so that we don't have the chain tensioner in here, and that kind of rolls the motor back a little as well. So these fins are kind of pushed back there on this particular setup, so it might have worked if I didn't have both of those scenarios working against me, but just something to note. It does look good. I notice with that, as we raise it, we are getting some stress in the plastics here because it's kind of tweaking that position that they're originally at. So I might have to see if I need to adjust screw holes or if there's something I can do there as well. I also do have a huge battery in here, so. Alright, so I am just going for it just to see because I want to see. So I'm actually just using a screwdriver and setting it there, and I pounded down and it actually broke through pretty easy, and then I bent it over. So hopefully that's just going to buy us a little space. I know it's not the prettiest in there, but I'm going to do it to these two rungs and we'll see what happens. So I don't know if you guys can see, but it's literally just stabbed, pounded through there. If you do this very carefully, I don't recommend doing this, and make sure you do not puncture into your motor. I'm only trying to carefully hit the fins. Alright guys, so as you can see, I left all my grinders on the job site, so we are just using a file here to grind this puppy down. It has actually taken me more time than I wanted to, but it's ground down. I'm going to test fit it. I'll probably do a little clear coat over it so it doesn't rust if it sees moisture ever. And then, yeah, we'll move to the front, but I think it's going to work out. Oh my gosh, we've done it. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and just do a dash of clear coat on that. Now this is a really tight fit. If you guys have a recommendation that's a little bit skinnier, better fit that you can, please drop it below in the comments. But this one was recommended to me by Turbo Moose. So shout out to Turbo Moose. I always appreciate him. He does some good stuff if you guys haven't checked him out. Alright, we got that one in there. We can now ditch the clamp because we're back on our shock. So we'll actually see how that fits up. I'll show you guys a little closer when I can. Alright, for this setup, like I said, I did chop that up. We are barely not touching everywhere. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and rip into these guys. So I know you guys are always asking, and I think usually within about a week I see my fork show up from Ride or Die. We're gonna look at throwing these on, as well as what we're gonna need to make this top work with the DKD screen on RSF that we have. So as for Razor bolt-on options, Ride or Die is always here for our easy bolt-on affordable forks, as well as keeping them quality and safe. Now if you guys are into other colors, Ride or Die has multiple colors and multiple different options. This is also gonna lift your forks about 2 inches from the stock height, and you're gonna get 2 inches more of travel. And so for this specific build, since we have this mounted here, we have ordered some extra little black clamps that are going to go onto here from Amazon. We'll unscrew these bolts top and bottom here so that we can pivot the fork off. You're going to see these 2 washers on here. We're going to split those washers. One's going to go top and one's going to go bottom. So we want to split those up. We'll go ahead and we're going to disconnect all the obvious stuff that needs disconnected here. Our EMF 12 volt system with a horn and a headlight, the EMF bracket for the DKD, and all of our wiring for that, as well as our Ride or Die rear brakes that we have up here. So I'm gonna see if I can keep these bars and take off just the DKD and see what we can do, if I need to get into the wiring or not. But basically you get the gist. We're gonna go ahead and take that stuff off. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to loosen it up just to get those in a little bit. So we are just going to loosen the bottom ones of here. They're probably slightly loose already. So we'll loosen those just a tad bit. All right, so the camera shut off, but obviously we're gonna make sure we tighten down this bottom bolt good, that we have the spacer back in here. Make sure your spacer doesn't fall out of your headset from your Razor that's already in there, and it should be all pretty solid. Now, of course, we're gonna get this kind of pinched back up as this tightens up, so we wanna make sure that comes up, and then we're gonna make sure and lock these down. Now, do not over tighten them, but we wanna make sure these are very secure, and all 4 of them, so you can have the 2 on each side. Now I recommend to go out, test ride this lightly, check a little bit, maybe check to see if you can tighten everything else down a little bit again, and make sure it's all secure. So there you have it, it should be all on there. All right, a few months later down the road, here we are, and I have been just running the crap out of this bike, the forks and the rear shock. I've actually been like stunting on it a little bit now, jumping around on the seat, and getting some knee knockers. All feels really good. Bike's been running great. Setting the wheel down, going fast feels good. They're really a lot bigger upgrade than the regular MX or SX forks. And if you want, check out the Ride or Die brakes video. They have their new brakes that they just released. So that's what we've been running on these as well now. If you guys haven't checked out the seat video to add the Sur-Ron seat, go ahead and check that video out as well. Good video. Again, I've put that thing through some abuse at this point. Again, standing on the seat, jumping down from standing to knee knocker, and so far it's holding up very well. I'm actually genuinely impressed with everything, because I do tend to beat the crap out of everything I touch. So that's enough of wasting your guys' time. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.